It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. Today's date is February 4th, 2025. This is B Block, which means we start this about 7:20. We're a little bit late this morning, and that's because of John being long-winded. Right, John? I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Okay, lots of stuff to talk about. Okay, I didn't want to usurp. I apologize if I went off. I try to give you a clean bill of health or clean, A block where you can just, and I pretty stay out of it.
You don't need to apologize, Brad. I appreciate that, and I know how passionately you feel about that, and you're right about that.
Well, no, I don't want to be right about anything because, like I tell everybody, if you want my advice, I'll give it, and then do just the opposite, and you'll do great. Whatever I tell you, do the opposite. I'm a guy that owns radio stations, okay? And once again, huge mistake. Now, I will say something, and once again, this is something, and you talk about not, you don't want to talk about our texting back and forth and stuff like that. I had a meeting last week with, and I've told you, I've talked about this, and I'll be totally upfront and honest. On this very radio station, we have another station which interferes with us, and it's now owned by the Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod, okay, right there at Lindbergh and 44. And if you want to see if you're Lutheran, you want to see where your money goes, go down there and take a look at the Taj Mahal of the building they have. Not saying anything. It's just an incredible facility, okay? I've been having a problem for quite some time and finally had a meeting with them. And this was Thursday, went on for an hour and a half, and quite honestly got a little bit contentious from my part because of the fact that I'm essentially saying, guys, you got lots of money, help me out a little bit. And we're applying, so we're 100% legal with what we're doing. Yeah, I know you are, but once again, you're causing me some issues. You could fix it, and you just don't want to. Okay. At the end of the meeting, I said to them, and this was funny. It took them aback. 4 people in this meeting with me, 5 people in the meeting. Okay, 4 people from the Lutheran Church, me, and I said to them, look, I'm trying to promote radio in general. Send me a commercial promoting your radio stations, what you do with KFUO and these various stations. I'll put it on my radio station. And they all looked at me like I had 3 heads. And the guy who was the head of the radio station, general manager, said, why would you do that? And I go, because I'm promoting radio. Yeah, but we don't own us. And I say, once again, I'm trying to help you guys out. And I said my classic stupid line, as the tide rises, so do all boats. Okay, why is it that I see that but nobody else does? Why is that, John? Help me out, please help me. I need therapy.
Well, if we want to take it, first of all, we'll do it with KFUO because they have a very limited scope, right? And they're not in business to help you look good or help the radio industry look good. I imagine that most of those folks believe that they're doing the Lord's work. And helping Brad Hildebrand isn't within the scope of what they want to do. And in their defense, they probably don't care about the radio industry much, do they?
I don't know. The guy who runs it does. He's a radio guy, been in the business a long time. There's the assistant guy. I think he's been in the business a long time. I hear what you're saying, but by the same token, here's a religious organization that when you think of religious organizations, don't you think of them giving? And them helping out the community, and if there's somebody in the church who's down in their luck, maybe the church will get together and do a fundraiser, or the church will pay their rent for a month or something like that. Why is it that they look at me as like, what's the catch? It's just like right now with me with my Westplex Chamber of Commerce. I go and I talk to people, and people go, okay, what's the catch? It's free. I go, yeah. There's no catch. And they go like, well, no, hold it. Why are you doing this? I said, because I'm trying to promote the Westplex as an entity. I'm trying none of this stuff where, the mayor, and nothing against Len Pagano in St. Peter's, nothing against Dan Borgmeyer in St. Charles. I've seen these guys in meetings before, and they're trash talking each other. Well, we got the new so-and-so store, and you didn't. Yeah, but we got the new apartment complex, and you didn't. Once again, you jump in your car, you drive west on 70. Most people, unless they're nerds like me, don't know where St. Charles ends and where St. Peter's begins, and when St. Peter's ends and when O'Fallon begins. You know what I'm saying? It's a big area. St. Charles County, I call it the Westplex. Okay, why they don't see that it's a huge area that you promote as one. Same thing with the radio business. And going back to the thing with my Westplex Chamber of Commerce, I've got things at my my command. I have radio stations, I have websites, I have social media sites and stuff like that. Okay, I know that I'm not the biggest guy. Our stations are not KMOX or 97.1 or stuff like that. But yet we have listeners. We have people. We have important people listen to this show. You tell me all the time the people that text you that you can't even tell me who they are. Okay, but the thing is, I'm essentially saying, look, let's work together. But yet you've got the Tracy Ellises of the world who, if you're not 100% towing her line, you're a rhino. You know what I mean? And even to the point where I think this is the thing that's disruptive about Bill Eigel. If you're not crazy into his politics, you're a rhino. You know what I'm saying?
I do know. I think that probably I don't think this is unique to the St. Louis area. And I'm sure that's not what you're saying, that it's unique to the St. Louis area. But Brad, if you were surrounded most of the day with radio people and or snakes, and somebody came to you and said, hey, I'm just trying to do something for the greater good. By the way, I have the Westplex Chamber. There's no membership fee, whatever. I would think they were a scammer. Because if I'm surrounded by people every day that are trying to hustle a buck from me and are trying to manipulate, and they read 50 Laws of Power and all of a sudden they think they're Machiavelli, I would be skeptical of Brad Hildebrand coming to me. And I think, well, what's his angle? Like, he's clearly not doing this because he believes in it, or because he believes in the area, or because he believes in lifting all boats. He's obviously got some kind of an angle, and I'm going to try to keep poking at him until he finally reveals, okay, here's the truth. After I get everybody to join for free, after a year, I'm going to bump it up to $49. And by the way, when you join for free, you have to give me your credit card, and then I'm going to start billing you a monthly service fee. Like, I would just, if you came to me and I didn't know you, I would think you were scamming me.
Okay. To give you an example of this, part of the thing I'm doing is, matter of fact, in this next break, you will hear it, and this is interesting for me, and this is not meant as a slight against Mike Elam. He joined a couple months ago, okay, and did a nice job. You go to westplex.com, you go to the member directory, you search Mike Elam, just search Mike Elam. He put that whole page up himself, promoting himself, okay? And I said to him all along, I go, Mike, you get a 15-second commercial, you get 2 a day, and you get a podcast. And he was going like, well, finally, I think maybe because this thing came up with Bill Eigel, he texted me something on Sunday about an event that he wanted to know if I was going to show up at. And I said, by the way, Mike, you never gave me a commercial and you've never set up a podcast with me. And so, bang, within 10 minutes, he sends me a commercial. Okay. This week, I have 2 recording sessions. And the other guy, who I won't mention, is also a politician who's joined like a year ago. And I said to him, you joined, you get commercials, you get a podcast. Yeah, I know, I've been busy. I'm promoting you for free, Free. Take advantage of it. Is it the fact that it's free, that people that don't appreciate something that's free?
Yeah. And because I wouldn't take it from you, Brad, if I was them. Because I would think, okay, Brad wants to get me to record this. And then he's going to say, you got this for free for joining the Westplex Chamber. But also, if you want to do a little more, here's the super duper ad package. And then Brad's going to call me once a month and I'm going to have to ignore his call. And he's going to say, hey, we got an addition for you to take your advertising to the next level. Like, I wouldn't buy it either. And also, you know this better than anybody, Brad, because business people and people like Mike Elam have priorities. And if you were 97.1 or KMOX and you were offering an ad that would go to X number of people, then maybe Mike Elam would do it. If it's going to a station where it's apparently 104.5 and I get in my car and I get to hear some good Christian music, if I'm Mike Elam, I'm like, I'm going to put that as priority number 247 this year.
By the way, and you won't do it, but I will. You sent me that yesterday. John sends me a text yesterday. I copied the text and sent it to the guy at KFUO. And
good. Yeah. People tell me all the time, hey, so are you guys playing Christian music? No, that's not Brad's station.
I said to him, here's an example of the problem I have with your station. And I literally quoted your text, and I said, this is John Combest, who I do a show with in the mornings. This is the problem I have. Oh, and you know what? In their response, they don't care. They just don't care. But yet the interesting part of that is, don't you find it interesting? And see, I find this fascinating myself. And I will put it to you this way. I know a guy in the radio business. He's not in the St. Louis area, so nobody's going to guess who it is. So I know a guy who deals with radio stations all over the country, okay? And he will routinely tell me the absolute positive worst customers he has, the people he hates to deal with, are the religious broadcasters. The religious broadcasters, okay?
Why is that?
Because they're buttheads. Because
like they're sanctimonious, you mean?
Yes, and here's a perfect example, okay? I know a woman who used to run a Christian radio station here in the St. Louis area. Won't say who it is. Some people can, if they know their history, they'll know exactly who this woman is. And she gave me a lot of grief. And when she realized I was not causing her problems, I was trying to help her, she did a 180. And we had lunch one day. And she told me this story that she belongs to the National Association of Religious Broadcasters. I think it's NARB or whatever it is, okay? And they have a big national convention, big national conventions, okay? And typically they have it at like a hotel conference center type place, I mean, we probably, if you consider, I guess the one that would come to mind to me would be like the hotel conference center would be like Embassy Suites in the St. Charles Convention Center out in St. Charles, where there's hotel and attached to the actual, it's not like the Dome downtown, but it's still a pretty big facility, okay? So she tells me she's checking into the hotel for this National Association of Religious Broadcasters conference. This has been like 20 years ago. And as she's standing there in line, she hears her name. Hey, there's a guy behind the counter, and it turns out it's a guy she went to college with, and it turns out that the guy now runs this hotel. He's the general manager of the hotel and conference center. Hey, what are you doing here? Well, they haven't talked in years. I run these radio stations in St. Louis, blah, 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 blah. Hey, look, it's great to see you. Can I buy you dinner tonight? And she says, sure. So they have dinner, and this is not the first time this hotel has had this conference for these National Association of Religious Broadcasters. And in the course of their dinner, he tells her an interesting anecdote. He tells her that whenever they have the National Association of Religious Broadcasters, their bar sales go to like practically nothing. That nobody goes into the bar at the hotel, but their rooms.
But here's the punchline.
Their room service for liquor goes through the roof.
Of course, because they act one way in public and the other way in private.
Right. They're all in their room drinking brewskis and wine and beer and vodka and bourbon and stuff like that. But they won't do it in public. So see, once again, that's the thing that drives me nuts. It's the sanctimonious people. And that's why I find the religious thing so fascinating, and to the point where I turned you on to that guy. Remember, what's his name? Jason.
The church parody guy. Yeah, I don't know his name.
Is he funny or what?
Yeah, I watched his videos that day. They're really good.
Now, there's another one I found. This guy's name is John Ubik or something like that, and he has a parody song out that's done fairly well on YouTube. I'll send you this and listen to it. And essentially what he does is he does a parody. It's remember I can't remember who it was. It was a long time ago, like 30, 40 years ago. There was a guy that wrote the perfect country song. Remember he talked about,
I do.
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's got to include this and that.
Right.
Well, David Allan Coe at the end of one of his songs did that too.
Right. And the perfect country song talks about, my mom got run over by a tractor and my dog got, and the whole thing, my girlfriend left me and stuff like that. Well, this guy does the parody on the perfect Christian song, and he's exactly right. He calls it, matter of fact, the hook on the song is something like mid-tempo with 3 chords, and then at one point in the song, I sent you the video. The video is really funny. And at one point in the song, it's all white guys, and they're all with their jeans with holes in it and stuff like that. And at one point in time, one of the lyrics of the song is, we even have diversity, and a black guy comes into the frame of the camera, and then another black guy comes in behind the drummer, and they say something about even more diversity. And the interesting thing is, if you go to any of these, what they call the non-denom churches, you don't see any black people there. It's like some of them are 100% white. 100% white. Why is that? Tell me why that is, John.
Wouldn't you say that you have that the lineage in black churches, like if you grow up going to an AME church, you're going to be pretty loyal to AME, and you're not going to a missionary Baptist church, and you're not going to want to go see the guy that works at Schnucks and Home Depot in the Nickelback tribute band at the non-denominational church.
Okay, I'll take your analogy, but take it one step further. Look at all the white people who grew up in our neighborhood. You talked about in your neighborhood, you were the only non-Catholic family on the block, right? Okay.
Yeah. But the difference is, Brad, white people really like Nickelback.
No, the idea being is you grew up in, and the interesting part of this is if you go to the non-denominational churches, most of the people there are converts from the Lutheran Church,
Catholicism,
from Baptist churches. Matter of fact, there's some people that claim that the whole non-denominational movement is nothing but an offshoot of the Baptist Church, which is...
Oh, I haven't heard that there. Now, hold on, Brad. I would also point out, as you and I have, this is well-plowed soil for us, but at the non-denominational churches, you're more likely to see somebody in jeans that haven't been washed in a while, and they threw on a T-shirt, which is what is encouraged and welcomed, and not in a bad way, but it's welcomed at, your favorite church, Grace River, or any of the mega churches. It's kind of come as you are, and whereas other churches, you might feel a need to put on a shirt that has a collar and maybe a belt.
Well, all I can say is if you showed up at Grace River Church or if you showed up at any of the family church down Chesterfield Valley, and if you showed up in a suit and tie, you would probably be the only one there in a suit and tie. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, they would think that you were a Fed auditing the books, or maybe you were from the FCC at KFUO,
or maybe you were
coverage,
maybe you were there to look back in the kitchen to see if there was any illegal immigrants in the kitchen, right?
yeah, you just came from El Mog's, and so you wanted to see if they were in the kitchen at KFUO.
Okay, we have to take a break. Is this show making any sense at all? I don't know.
Brad.
Okay, here we go.